This week on the show.
I think it was a mixture of boredom and the fact that like TikTok was just like a growing app and everybody was downloading it. And so I just downloaded it. And then I saw like a bunch of POVs, which is like the acting version of TikTok, I guess. And I was like, ew, I'm never doing those. Like those are so cringy.
That's what you're doing now. Spoiler alert.
Right. And that's what I ended up like doing. That ended up being the videos that like got the most views on my TikTok, which is really weird. But
wow. Darby Farr.
When the video reached like a couple 100,000 views, I was like, what the heck? And then like it reached like 1 million, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. This is cool. And then people started just like following me based off of that series. So I was like, oh, I guess I gotta like keep it up now because people are watching.
TikToker. Actor. So how did that feel when you finally decided to study it?
It was very like relieving in a sense, like even because I knew even if I don't like reach the highest status or whatever, just to know that I went after it, won, and then just to know that I'll never like work a day in my life. I know that's like so cliche, but
no, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Also, I like to people watch because like I feel like when you're acting, you feel like, oh, I'm being too big for this character, or like nobody would normally do this, or nobody would talk like this. But if you like watch people are really like exaggerative and like big, and they might do like really big facial expressions, and you can bring that into a character, I think.
Have you ever been caught watching someone?
You know what? I don't think I'm slick about it. I don't do it in.
Let's talk to Darby Farr on the Very Creative Podcast. Darby Farr, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's great.
Of course. Like I said, thank you for having me. So excited.
Yeah. Introduce yourself for everyone.
So I'm Darby Farr. I'm currently a student at Savannah College of Art and Design, a performing arts student. I'm an actor. Been acting for like my entire life. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. We have a mutual friend in common, which is who is Jalen Taylor, who was the first guest on my podcast. Mm-hmm. And
Love her.
And then I saw, because I knew your name because she did a YouTube channel, and she did a video on her play, and she had mentioned you. And then when she shared a podcast, you started following me. So I always wanted you on. I saw your TikTok, and I was like, I'm going to ask her someday. So yeah.
Great. Fun. Thanks. It's funny how like things happen. The world is so much smaller than it seems, I feel. Yeah, especially with social media and stuff.
Exactly. It's so much like I'm a guy from Canada, and I like do this podcast with people from all around the world, and that's the thing that's really exciting for me about it. Just making friends, and like I don't want to just have Canadians on there. It's we're all creative. We're all and that's what make it like different, because we're from different part of the world, and that's what makes it interesting, I guess.
Wonderful. I'm from Mississippi, you're from Canada, we're just crossing borders here.
Yeah,
great.
Coming to the US very soon though, so I'm excited.
So you're still in Canada right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it because of quarantine, or
no? I was just born here, and
okay. So I was thinking that you and Jalen went to school together.
No, we met actually in New York, because she was doing a workshop there with my Canadian friend, David Marino, and they became friends. So we met there, and we just did the podcast, and then we became really good friends. So yeah.
Nice. Cool how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a small world.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. It's I don't think all of the Frenches I've made over the past year would have been made if the COVID would have not happened, you know?
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
So did you start the podcast over the quarantine?
September, yeah.
September. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It's been
in
over
the
a
middle
year
of
now.
boredom. Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
How
that's
have you
what I
been
did
during quarantine?
Well, I mean, that's when I started my TikTok in quarantine.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not as active on it anymore because I'm back like at school and like doing stuff. But I think, that's what creatives do, when there is like time, you have to find your own creative outlet. And you did this with this podcast. I think that's what I did with TikTok. Now I'm just kind of like not doing it anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. So now that you've mentioned it, where did that start? When did that start? And how did that start? The TikTok.
Nothing stays buried forever, especially not the past.
Yesterday is Not Yet Gone, a mystery novel by Gabriel Veiga, host of the Very Creative Podcast. Available now, paperback and digital. GabrielVeiga.com. Buy it now.
You was just bored in quarantine?
I think it was a mixture of boredom and the fact that like TikTok was just like a growing app and everybody was downloading it. And so I just downloaded it. And then I saw like a bunch of POVs, which is like the acting version of TikTok, I guess. And I was like, ew, I'm never doing those. Like those are so cringy.
That's what you're doing now. Spoiler alert.
Right. And that's what I ended up like doing. That ended up being the videos that like got the most views on my TikTok, which is really weird. But,
wow. Never doing that. And then that happened.
Exactly.
Oh
yeah. But so, I thought it was cool. It was I thought it was cool. It was just like, I don't know, just a creative outlet. I guess I could pretend like I was like a character and like doing stuff. And I was like, this is as close as acting as I'm going to get right now. So that's what I did.
Yeah. And when did you start getting that following? How did that happen?
It started with one of my POVs that I did, which was like about like you're attached to your soulmate based off of like 1 cent or something like that. And like my character had to figure out who her soulmate was and she thought it was a serial killer. And so that's where I got my following from. Like that video got like 2 million views and then the series kind of got like a couple million views.
Wow.
And then that was
so
it.
You just repeated that same video after that? You made a series out of it?
Yeah, I made a series out of it. So it was just kind of like her trying to figure out who her soulmate was and like thinking that it was a serial killer.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did like different versions of it. So like her sense that she was connected with her soulmate was taste. And then like the next season, the next character was like connected to their soulmate with like smell or like sight and stuff like that. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Wow. And did it just blew up out of nowhere one night or one morning you just looked at your phone and it just blow up? Or?
Yeah, it was definitely fast, but it was also like gradual. Like when the video reached like a couple 100,000 views, I was like, what the heck? And then like it reached like 1 million and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is cool. And then people started just like following me based off of that series. So I was like, oh, I guess I gotta like keep it up now because people are watching.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's what
do you know if your audience is mostly because I know some people that have a following on TikTok and those people their audience is mostly kids. So what's your audience?
I haven't looked at my like demographic. You can go on TikTok and see. I haven't looked at that in a while because like I said, I just haven't been as active as I was like before I started school. But it was mostly like people like late teens. It wasn't kids.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, TikTok is like a app for a lot of young people. There's a lot of young people.
Yeah.
But it was like people close to my age, I think. So,
yeah. That makes sense. It's also what I've heard and about TikTok is it's a really great platform for actors. It's to do like especially during a pandemic when you don't have. At the beginning, I know a little bit about acting because I had an agent and everything, and I did it for a while. But the auditions cut off, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was just everything was shut down. So it was a platform.
What do we do? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it was also a good thing just because like everybody was in their house and just like looking for entertainment. Cause you know, like the entertainment industry was down and people were like, my favorite show is like not going into production. And just like, so I think people were just like looking for things to entertain them. So I think that was a good period to kind of like jump on the TikTok wagon during that time.
So you don't feel the need to, because you said you were in school, you don't feel the need, I guess, to post every day now that you have a following.
I guess not. Like because I was at home when I did like all that series stuff. And now like, since I'm at school and I don't have a full house to work with, you know, I have a roommate and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I can channel my creativity into like auditions and then like actually being on set now. And I don't have to necessarily do what I did back when I wasn't auditioning and like being on set and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're busy now and you have other more important stuff to worry about. And you're not like just at home and, cause that can get into your head if you're doing nothing, and just like the followers can get into your head if you're not in school, if you're not doing all these things that really matter, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. Like now, now I'm like, oh yeah, I have like 80,000 followers and I never post anything. And people are like, what? And I'm like, I just don't care. Like I didn't do it because I was like, ooh, people are going to see this. I was just like, I need to do something because I'm just sitting in my house not doing anything. So I was like, let me create something. But now I'm fine.
It's weird because always all the stories I've heard of people that have a following, like they were not expecting it. There were and the people that want a following never get a following. So, or they do, and it lasts a second. But yeah.
I think it's weird if you are expecting it. Like I don't know. Maybe don't try as hard. Just do what you want to do, and then just see what happens, you know?
I mean, it's tough to not think about it. I had this conversation many times on this podcast. We're creatives, and it's part of the business, and it's part of the entertainment industry and everything. So it's like I said, there are more important stuff, and there are more like that's what you should focus on. And if it happens, it happens, and great. Use it well. Use your platform well for good. But you shouldn't go after that because, first of all, it's not good for your mental health at all.
That's so true. Yeah, you're right. It's so easy to like in this industry, like equate, like, I don't know, like fame or following or whatever to success. And that's really not healthy. Like, that's really not healthy at all. Just like do it because you love to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll never be satisfied, I think. So.
That's really great. Yeah. So let's go back to you growing up. Did you, because I've heard the story and I've read the story in your bio that you said that your teacher wanted your parents, they asked your parents if they could record you reading a children's story, right? Or something like that. And then you that sparked the acting thing. So explain that.
Yeah, it's so weird. My mom told me this story. I mean, I had like a small memory of it, but I don't know. She just told it so well. So in first grade, like when you're like really learning how to read and they want you to like read books and stuff, they're like, I think it's best for you to read and like hear yourself read so you can hear the words you mess up on, just stuff like that. So my mom got a tape recorder. And instead of reading on the tape recorder, I was like, I think it's best if I record a song. So on the tape recorder, I just started singing, had my little riffs. Literally, I wish I had that tape recorder because I listened to it a couple years ago. So bad. Like I was doing all types of little riffs. I thought I was so good. But yeah, I guess even then I wanted to be creative, I guess. I have no idea.
So were you a stubborn little kid that was like confident and like just I'm gonna do what I want to do and I want to do characters, or no?
I don't know. I guess not really, because I guess I didn't have anything to be stubborn against, because my parents were always encouraging me to like do creative things, like dance in the living room, like do my little play performances that I wrote, just stuff like that. So they never they were always encouraging of all my little endeavors as a kid. So
you don't have that tape recorder anymore. That really,
I don't. Isn't that so sad?
Oh, yeah. You should. I was like, you should post it on TikTok. But
I know.
Yeah. So sad.
And maybe it's in boxes somewhere. I have no idea where it is.
Look for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where did it go from there? The acting and everything, the dancing, singing.
I guess I started singing just because I like to sing, and then I started singing in the choir at church. And then I started going to New Stage, which I don't know if Jalen talked about it or not, but she was also went to New Stage. So it's like our local professional theater. It's like the only professional theater in
she talked about a choir,
area.
but she didn't talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if a choir is in Mississippi. It might be. I have no idea. But so I started going to summer camp there just every year. Just because I thought it was something fun. I liked doing musicals. Because it always started with singing for me. Now I'm more so I like acting more, but it started with singing. And so I just started doing the musicals, and then eventually realized that I had a love for acting, and so started taking more acting classes than singing. And that's just kind of snowball effect, I guess.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Looking back at that time, were you are you, because you said you listened to your tape recorder, but are you do you feel like you were shy, or do you feel like you were just doing it for fun? How do you look at acting during that time compared to now? It's an evolution, I'm sure, but yeah.
I don't know, it's so weird because I don't ever think I thought about it as oh, this is a potential career, or this is something that people do seriously. I think though, I just thought it was fun. I've always loved performing and having my family sit down and I have this play for you guys, so I never thought of it as something serious. And actually not until recently did I think, okay, I probably need to make a career out of this, because my freshman year of college, I went to a traditional university. Because I was got to get a real job, got to get a non-art degree. And then I was there and I was so depressed, and I was this is not what I want to do. And they didn't even have a theater program or anything. So it was I guess I had to go a year without it to realize how much I loved it so much.
Right.
So yeah. And then I made the decision to come to SCAD and just study acting 24/7. So.
So you said you only recently figured out that you wanted to act, but did you have any professional jobs when you were young?
Yeah, I had gone on Disney auditions, and I was extras and like 12 Years a Slave and stuff like that. I guess for me, like I said, I never associated it with a job just because I loved doing it so much, and just acting and being in theater productions. I love doing it so much. So I never associated it with, oh, maybe I need to go to school to make a career out of it. to the point where even like I said, my freshman year of college, I was going to like study something else, which was kind of creative. It was like broadcast journalism. So it was kind of like close enough, but it wasn't acting specifically. But yeah, like I had been, like I said, I've been like working and acting for my whole life. I guess I just never associated it with work and thought that this is what I need to do for my career until I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh, like, yeah.
So how did that feel when you finally decided to study it?
It was very like relieving in a sense, like even because I knew even if I don't like reach the highest status or whatever, just to know that I went after it, won, and then just to know that I'll never like work a day in my life. I know that's like so cliche, but
no,
just,
I get
like,
it. I get it. Yeah,
something that I enjoy so much. I know that like I'm studying it and I'm gonna work in it some way. Like I might not be like the biggest actor, you know, or whatever, but I'm gonna work and I'm gonna act in any way that I can. So I think it was just like relieving to know that I don't have to separate the two, you know, separate work from like passion, just like combine the two. Yeah,
that's great. And then you have I saw on your Instagram you have a lot of meetings with famous actors that give you a lot of tips. Talk a bit about that. How's it? What's that about?
I was just so fortunate to come to SCAD and, you know, my first initial couple of auditions, like catch the attention of some of the higher people here in the performing arts department. And so they continuously ask me to, you know, do interviews with certain like celebrities like Lawrence Fishburne and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, I just feel like I'm very blessed to have been able to catch their attention and be able to talk with such cool actors and like just absorb all the information I can. So, yeah. So
you're basically interviewing them, or?
Well, they come, it depends, but we get to do like a question and answer type thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're called master classes.
Oh, right.
And so SCAD chooses like a couple of performing arts students, and usually when we're on ground would be in person. But since COVID and stuff, it's virtual. And so we get to, you know, do Zoom calls with them and ask them questions and they answer them. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Seems awesome. And it's good that they pick you. I'm sure you're really proud and you're grateful.
I'm very grateful.
Yeah. Very grateful. Mm-hmm. So Jalen had a question. She was like, I reached out to her this morning and I was like, do you have any fun question that you have for Darby? Yeah. And she was like, ask her about Homeroom the Musical. So the musical she talked about.
Oh my God.
Nothing stays buried forever, especially not the past.
Yesterday is Not Yet Gone, a mystery novel by Gabriel Veiga, host of the Very Creative Podcast. Available now, paperback and digital. GabrielVeiga.com. Buy it now.
So tell us about that.
Homeroom the Musical, you know what? Homeroom the Musical was interesting. It was a fun experience. You know,
you don't seem convincing very much.
I think it's so funny that she asked about this. I just think, you know.
Yeah, and she was very straightforward about it. She was like, ask her about Homeroom the Musical. I was like, okay, there's something funny there.
You know, if you haven't been in a bad middle school play, I think you just haven't experienced life. You know, It's okay. The play was terrible. The musical was terrible. The writing was terrible, but we all had a great time. That's what I'll say about Homeroom, Jalen. She's so funny.
What's terrible about it?
It was just.
I want to know more for me.
It was like the musical. First of all, you've never heard of it. Like,
no.
What is Homeroom the Musical? I have no idea where our teacher found it.
They created it?
Love you, Miss. No, I don't know where she found it. She didn't write it, but
oh, okay.
Love you, Miss Taylor. Shout out Miss Taylor. Yeah, the musical was really bad. The music in there was really bad. There were so many cliches about high school students, like, oh, there was a jock, there was a cheerleader who was like anorexic, even though we were in middle school. So like, why were we talking about anorexia, you know?
Yeah.
Or just like, it was just weird. It was a lot of cliches, very bad writing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it wasn't our fault. We didn't pick the musical. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask Jalen if I can share a clip from her YouTube thing that she did. It was
yeah.
great.
Key change. There's one in every song, I think. Ben! Let's talk about Ben. Literally the most talented person on the stage. It's like Ben and Darby. For some reason, she could belt at the age of 12, and she was amazing and gorgeous and fantastic, and you should follow her on TikTok. They were the only two. The rest of us were just trying to keep up. We were stragglers. Shut up.
Homeroom, some kind of place in homeroom. Each day that I face a school day that's constantly changing.
Yeah, she was describing all the characters, and yeah, I remember. Oh, that's the typical gay. That's the typical blah blah blah.
It was just such cliche writing. It was like, who okayed this for us to do? Like, It was not good at all.
Yeah. But I'm sure you were grateful at that age to, because you said you fell into acting young and you loved it. So I'm sure, like, I look back at my acting on stage. I was always on stage in high school in plays. So I'm very grateful for that. I remember because it saved me. So I'm sure you feel so happy about it.
Yeah.
Even though it was bad.
Yeah. And it was, I remember it was middle school and I had just transferred to St. Andrews, the school that we went to. So to have like gotten that role, like a main character role, I was like, oh my gosh, like I got one of the main roles in the play and I just got here. Like I felt great about it. But I mean, of course, looking back, I'm like, oh, that was a terrible play. But of course, during the time, like you said, it saves you. It shows you like a whole new world. And it takes your mind off of like school stuff. You just get to go on stage and like have fun. And it's a bond that you create with the people who were in the musicals or plays or whatever. It's a bond that like you can't describe it, unless you
you really can't describe it. And it's there's nothing like it, because now I've experienced a bunch of the real world, like we call it, and the creative world, and it's really, there's nothing like being in a play with people or being on set. The movie sets provide you kind of the same feeling, but not as much as a play, because you're together all the time and you're rehearsing and because it's a big deal doing a play, and it's and
you gotta get it perfect.
A small group of people, and you really get close with those people. You discover the bad, they discover the bad about you, the good, the bad, everything. And yeah, you're right. It's it creates such a bond. And that's because I haven't done a play in a while, and that's what I miss the most, like the friendships that I've created from that. And of course going on stage and acting, but there's nothing like it.
I completely agree. Just like for life goals for me, I definitely know that I want to do more like film and television, but there's just something about like rehearsing for however many weeks with the same people, like seeing them every night, like complaining with them, laughing with them. Like you said, it's a bond that, and even if you never like really talk to them as much as you do in that moment again, it's still like beautiful in that moment, I think.
And then you look at at famous actors that are dating now, and you understand why like that happens, because
Yeah.
it's exactly that.
It's so intimate, you know.
Yeah. So you did a couple of short films recently. Talk about that process.
Yeah, so my school has a casting office,
Yeah.
and well, SCAD is like, if anybody doesn't know, it's like an art school overall. So there's like performing arts department, there's like a film and television department, and usually the film and television students, if they're seniors or if they're seniors in undergrad or seniors in grad, they have to do a final thesis, which is like a short film or feature film, however long they want it to be. And it's like their final push into the world, you know, after they graduate. And so they'll be able to submit it to festivals and stuff if they want to, just kind of like get their name out as like a up and coming film student. So the casting office cast for those types of films as well as like outside things in the US. So yeah, the casting office reached out to me for I think like 2 of the 3 short films that I've filmed so far. And so I auditioned for them, and yeah, I booked them and was like working in, thank you. And was working in all like literally every weekend of January, basically, when I got here. And now things have kind of slowed down, but I'll probably start auditioning again soon once we're on the quarter system. So once this quarter is over and I'm done with these classes and we start another quarter, I'll probably start back auditioning for things. But
yeah. Without giving them away, are they pretty different from one another, the short film? And what did you find interesting about doing all of them?
Yeah, they're all very different now that I think about it. One of them is one of them is so hard to explain. It's basically like these 2 best friends kind of go on a bunch of adventures, and in the end you realize that it was kind of like these adventures were like a kid's imagination. So like my character is like the perceived idea of what the kid like envisions herself to be going on like these adventures and stuff with her best friend. And then at the end you realize, oh, it's like a kid. I don't know if that's spoiling. I don't think that spoiled anything, but yeah. So that's what one is about. Another one is about kind of like the Black female experience as an actor, and going to auditions, and like the colorism kind of that she faced, and kind of how she has to deal with that and just kind of push through it. And just like hearing casting directors say, oh, you're great, but you're not exactly what we're looking for, you know? So just, you know, different microaggressions like that. And then the third one is about a group of friends and one of them dies, and we're like, well, we think one of them dies, and we're like, one of y'all killed him. So who was it? And we think we know. So yeah. They're all that's pretty different.
Are they all dramatic and dark, or?
No, the first one about the kid, like that, the kids, that's very like lighthearted. Okay. The last one is of course, darker than the rest of them. And I think that the middle one, she kind of described it as like a dark comedy, the director did to me. And I agree. It's like, you know, of course, because it's dealing with some pretty serious topics, but there's also like comedic aspects to it. So, yeah.
Is there a character that you enjoy doing more than the others, without like bashing the short film, just like interestingly in an acting perspective? Yeah.
I think I'm always drawn to just like characters that I wouldn't normally be like, or, you know, characters that might have like a different wardrobe than me, different personality, just like completely different than me. So, to be honest, I think all 3 of these films are like different from me. The characters are different from me. So I got to like transform into a totally different person. So yeah, I thought that was cool. So I don't know if there's one that I like more.
Is there let me reframe the question. Is there a type of character that you're you're more attracted to usually? Because I know that I like to play villains, but
You do. As villains are always more fun, and you know what? They're always more complicated too. They're just because you can't, when you're playing a villain, you can't go into thinking, oh, this is a bad guy. No, like you have to understand where the villain, like their origin story, and like sympathize with them. They're so much more complicated than the superhero. So I like
so much more interesting.
So much more interesting. Yeah. I like broken characters too. I think I'm most drawn to, like, when I think about characters that I would love to play, just like Rue from Euphoria, or you know, any character in How to Get Away with Murder. Like, I just love characters that just have unrealistically terrible things like going on in their life all the time. I love broken characters, I think.
Did you watch Malcolm and Marie? I
have not watched it yet. You watched it this morning? Was it great?
God. You need to watch that. It's amazing.
Okay. I will watch it. I'm going to watch it this weekend. I've been telling people I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance, and then I was like, oh, I love Zendaya, I love John David Washington, so I was like, I need to watch it, and I love Euphoria, so
right. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. I heard that they filmed in just like a couple weeks.
Yeah,
maybe
during
a month.
Quarantine. Yeah.
Definitely less than a month, I think.
Yeah.
So that's
so. Speaking of that, how was your experience filming during quarantine, during the COVID thing?
Yeah. So, because like these were all SCAD grad students or seniors in the film department, there were like there are COVID rules for a set, but then there's also SCAD's own COVID rules that they had for being on set. As an actor, we didn't have to wear masks, obviously, because we are going to be performing, but anybody who worked around us had to wear masks and shields. We had to get tested every day, not tested, but get our temperature checked every day. Yeah. They encouraged us to get COVID tests, but legally you can't like require people to get COVID tests. So yeah, it was definitely more careful than sets usually are, but I think it was fine, and everybody complied with the rules. There weren't any issues because everybody just wanted to work, I think. So yeah,
that's good. Nobody had any COVID.
Well, you know what? I don't know I think this is fine for me to say. Like for the first film that I was in, one of the little girls who was supposed to play like the younger version of my co-star, she got COVID. And so, but she wasn't ever on set, but like the day before, or actually I think maybe the day that she was supposed to shoot, her mom texted the director and producer and said she had COVID. So they had to like find another child actor very fast, which was of course very hectic for them. So, but yeah.
Other
than that, I was just going to say, other than that, no other issues regarding COVID. Everybody was pretty safe, which is good.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's your overall acting process. What do you do to get into a mind of a character?
I think what helps, of course, first is just like reading and rereading through the script, and not just like focusing on my lines. Cause I think like, you know, once you book a role for a character, like you immediately want to see, okay, like how many scenes am I in? What do I say? But I think it's important to like look at the script like holistically and like not only see what your character is saying, but like see what scenes they're in that they aren't saying anything, and just like see what other people are saying about your character when they aren't there, just to kind of get an idea of who your character is. And then after that, just like, I like to get the memorization like out of the way, because I feel like that's the thing that can hinder you. Like you can't do any work if you don't know your lines. But once I get the memorization out of the way, I don't know, I try to understand the character and just like sympathize with them. And I feel like just watching, this might be weird, but I feel like just watching like movies and constantly like watching shows helps you in a way, because, you know, like even if it's not that specific character that's being shown in the movie, like if it's a character similar to yours, you kind of like get an understanding and you kind of see how you want to play it, like what things you want to do, what things you don't want to do. Just like absorbing a lot of information, even reading. I don't read as much as I should, but like even like books, just getting an understanding for people, I think. Also, I like to people watch because like, I feel like when you're acting, you feel like, oh, I'm being too big for this character, or like nobody would normally do this, or nobody would talk like this. But if you like watch people are really like exaggerative and like big, and they might do like really big facial expressions and, you know, things like that. So just because it's not natural to you doesn't mean it's not natural to a person, you know, in the world. So just like people watching and like, you know, seeing if you can mimic their like habits and like, or not habits, but like little glitches or whatever that they do, I think is fun. And you can bring that into a character, I think.
Have you ever been caught watching someone?
You know what? I think I'm slick about it. I don't do it in I don't do it in like places where it's so obvious. Like if you go to a food court now, it's not like COVID safe, but like if you go to food courts or maybe like sit in a park where there's just a lot of people, you can do it on the sly without a lot of people watching.
What do you mean?
Because, you know,
explain.
Because people are, you know, doing what, just living their life. They don't expect people to just be watching them. If you catch them, if you catch them in a situation where they're like doing stuff and like, you know, not just like in a waiting room, obviously that's a little bit weirder because everybody's just kind of like sitting there. So you can't stare at people necessarily, but in a busy area, you can, I think.
Yeah. That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
You're just, Did you ever bring your
No, bring my binoculars. They'll definitely catch me. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd definitely catch me if I had my binoculars.
Yeah. What about memory? Do you have a good memory to learn line, or did that grow better with time?
I think I have a really good short-term memory, but long-term, like after I'm done with the project, if you ask me what I said in a scene, I have no idea. But I think I have a pretty good memory, and I think it's getting better. I think it's just like a skill that you learn the best way to memorize for you and just keep working on it. I think it's a skill that anybody can learn.
I feel like theater helps a lot because it's long plays and you have a lot of lines, lots of scene, a lot of different things to say. And it just helps when you get to a film or an audition when it's just one scene, you know?
Definitely. Like, I feel like film is nothing in compared to like theater when it comes to memorizing, because you come on set and you know, okay, we're definitely doing just these two scenes today. And it's like, okay, just got to know my lines for these two scenes and that's it. But like, of course, if you're in a play or a musical, you have to know the entire script. But
Yeah, that's good. So, how much time do you have to finish your degree now? How long do you?
So technically I'm a junior, but like I said, I transferred. So we're on the quarter system. So there's 4 quarters in a year instead of 2 semesters. So I'm just like 1 quarter behind. If I take some extra classes, then I can catch up and graduate in 2022. But I'm supposed to graduate June 2022.
Yeah. And then what's the plan?
That is a great question.
That is a great question. No pressure. I was just asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I used to be afraid of like the future because I was like, what am I going to do when I get out of school? But now I'm just kind of like really excited because I'm just going to continue to do what I do, just like audition, and, you know, eventually something will come, I think. But what my school does is they have a showcase that you have to audition for. And I haven't gotten in, obviously, but like you audition for the showcase, and they take these groups of students who are seniors, and you go to like audition in front of casting directors, agents, and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get into that just as like a final push, and like a final like exposure before I'm done with school. Thank you for that good energy. I'll accept it.
You will. Yes.
But yeah. And so that's what I'm planning on doing. And then, you know, I'm even if I don't get into showcase, which I'm gonna say that I am, but even if I don't, as long as I have a demo reel, which I'm expecting to have, you know, because I've done 3 short films now, and hopefully we'll do more before I graduate. And I'll have a good demo reel to be able to send out to agents and stuff like that, and be ready to go out into the world.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it's exciting. It's frightening. It's all the feelings. I know what you mean. Like, the creative world is not easy at all. It's not easy to make it at all. Especially during a pandemic. I hope it ends at some point.
Hopefully it's over by then.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it's exciting and it's scary, but mainly exciting, you know?
How do your parents, because you said you always had supportive parents in terms of creativity, and but how do they feel about it all? I'm sure, like, it's not easy for any parent to see their kids going into creative fields. It's not like I know my mom is like just not stable. It took a long time for her to just accept that that was what my heart wanted the most and what I was good at and everything. So how has that been for you? Were your parents creative, first of all?
No, my parents are not in any creative field. My mom got her degree in accounting. My dad got his degree in mass communication, but like, you know, so I guess that's as close to creative, but it's not, you know, it's not the same. But they were, like I said, they were always supportive, but they would tell me, like, when I used to do plays and stuff more often, just like sitting in the audience, how nervous they would be, just because, you know, oh, like, this is a long scene for her, like, I hope she doesn't mess up, you know. So just like the parent, like, anxiety. But I feel like they're more confident about me graduating and going out and like immediately booking a job than I am sometimes. Cause I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was like, yeah, when I graduate, like, I'm thinking about what type of, you know, job I'll have while I'm also going on auditions. Cause I'm like thinking realistically. And my mom was like, why do you think you're going to need a job? Like, you're going to book something and you're, you know, you're going to be fine. And I'm like, I love that supportive energy, but I'm you know, I'm preparing to be a waitress. Like, I'm preparing to like have the job and, you know, do the struggling actor thing, but they're confident and I appreciate their confidence in me.
Yeah. For me, like, my mom understands now that it will take time, and like it's all about like the working hard on yourself and like making connections and just keeping at it, you know, and finding there's no one way to go about it, you know. You have a big following, but that doesn't mean you will do I hope it does help you, but you know, it's a hard journey, and we should enjoy it, and we should learn, and we should but yeah, money gets in the way of our feelings sometimes, and our parents worry about that, and that's totally understandable. But yeah, it takes time, and you'll be a better actor even if it's not right now, and you've already gone to school for it, and it's going to take time, and that's perfect, because I think you're going to be the better for it.
I completely agree. I rather, you know, like book something when I feel like, okay, now it's time and I've earned it. And, you know, because, you know, you hear the thing about like the child actors and stuff, and, you know, they got into the industry and stuff when they really didn't understand it or necessarily create a passion for it, and they kind of fall off or, you know, go into some other like bad habits and stuff. So I would love to book something when it's my time and when I'm ready and prepared as an actor. So
Yeah, I had
no
a
pressure.
couple. Yeah, I had a couple child actors on this podcast, and one in particular, that person said exactly that. They were like, at some point, I took a break from acting because I needed to focus on myself and focus on school and focus on everything else, and then I realized that I wanted to get back into it, and I was ready for it, and I was my mental health was great. I knew myself, and yes, it's an escape, but you also figure out that if you know yourself well, and it's even more fulfilling because you've worked on it, everything. But I'm sure like it's not a to say that it won't happen right away, and I hope it does for you, but and you feel I feel like you're ready, but sometimes it's scary for our parents, and it's scary for our entourage. Yeah,
definitely scary for us. You just never know. Yeah, I mean, because like when you go to school to be a doctor, there is a clear path. You know, you got to
even
do
doctors
undergrad.
fail if you look at it.
That's
some
very
people fail.
True.
There's no clear path for anyone.
That's true, but I think there's definitely like I mean, but also because I think the beauty of it is there's just so many places you can go, like in a creative field. Like, of course, you don't have a clear path, but then that's also because like it's just kind of wide open. It's whatever you decide you want to do, and what you love. So I think that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, there's no limitation necessarily.
Yeah, I also think like all those jobs that people I'm not talking about family, but I've had a few friends along the years that were like, oh, you want to do something creative, you want to be an actor, how's that going to pay your bill? And I understand their point of view. I understand that money is something big for everyone, but would you rather be happy and do what you really want to do? Like, that's why that keeps me going, because I really feel good when I'm doing like interviews or acting or writing. Like, I feel really good. I feel my best self, and I feel that's more fulfilling, and that will make me even more successful because I know myself, and I know that I want to do it really, really badly, and I have a good energy when I do all of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all about the quality of life. Like, I remember a quote that Dave Chappelle said. He said if he could get paid a teacher's salary, which I mean, in America, teachers make like not enough. But if he could get paid a teacher's salary to do what he loves, then he's successful in his mind. So, it's not necessarily about how much you get paid, but the fact that you can sustain yourself enough just on doing what you love is like crazy. Like I said, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, I would never do something that's not following my heart. Honestly, because you've done it for a while, and you said it yourself. You had to do that to figure out that that was not the case for you. You can not follow your heart.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, so who's your biggest inspiration in this industry, and why?
I don't know. I think I gather, like, every time I see a new project that I love, like, there's just like a new, like, I feel like I get inspired by the entirety of a project and not necessarily a specific person, but just like how everybody came together, like the sound guy, the lighting guy, like everybody came together to create such like a wonderful thing. But I definitely think that Viola Davis is like at the top for me. Viola Davis, Sarah Paulson, Zendaya, like some of my favorite actors, definitely by far.
Yeah.
And Viola Davis, just her story itself, and then the roles that she's been able to play, I love. Like, and of course Zendaya too. Like I said, I would love to be in something like Euphoria. Are you kidding? Like,
yeah.
So yeah. And I love American Horror Story too. So Sarah Paulson, the characters that they've been able to play are just I would love to have a career that follows any of those paths.
Yeah, that show would be so fun to be on. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Which one? American Horror Story?
Oh yeah, Euphoria
Oh.
too, but
Oh.
American Horror Story is so much fun.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like each season, you know that you're going to be playing a different character, different circumstances. Like
Yeah.
you just never get bored, I feel. Always something new and exciting.
Yeah. Do you have a dream project aside from all of those or a dream role that you really want to do in your career, or a few of them?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm always drawn to broken characters. So I don't know if there's a specific role that exists now that I want to play, but just to be able to play such a broken character, and it be a successful
What is it
project.
about broken characters? I know what you mean, but explain it to people.
Yeah, like I said, just about like the villain thing when we were talking about just the fact that you kind of have to sympathize with a person that you could easily not sympathize with. You could easily say, oh, this person has issues. It's like a whole nother version of humanity that you kind of have to understand to be able to play the character in a good way, I think. And also they're just like fun. Like you never do some of the things that they do, and you
in real life,
in real life, like of course, or you might go to like prison or something. So you get to do stuff that you never do in real life, because it's just like all about playing pretend, I think, for me as an actor. But so like a broken character, or like for the longest time I wanted to be a superhero. I was like, just put me in a Marvel movie. I was like, I got it. Like training for a couple months. All of that seemed so fun because it reminds me of like being in a play, because like you have to train with these people. You have to they have to go on rehearsals, and that's not the same. With a lot of films, of course, they don't do rehearsal periods and stuff. So when I found out that they do rehearsals for Marvel movies and like they're with each other for months before they start filming and stuff, I was like, ooh, like that's exciting. Like that's something fun to do.
Yeah.
And also they just look cool. Like
it's getting so good now. Also the quality it's just getting like so great. Yeah. Have you seen WandaVision?
I haven't. That's another thing. People keep telling me about WandaVision, and people keep telling me about Malcolm and Marie. I'm gonna start as soon as I can. But everybody keeps talking about it.
Yeah.
It's a cool concept too. A sitcom, but like superheroes, but like sitcom style, and they jump between different eras. Yeah. That's really interesting.
What I think is even more interesting is now they're like meshing that with the movies. So what happens in the TV shows like it carries on in the movies. So it's going to be interesting it's a new way of storytelling that we haven't seen before. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's usually, I feel like movies that are influencing shows, but for that to be the reverse now, that's really cool. There's also this like rise in like TV now that it's not limited to TV and there's like streaming services and stuff. There's like a rise in shows, which I feel like there was a decline in one period, but now it's like,
I mean, it's great for actors.
Talking about. Oh, it's great for us.
It's like, more jobs. There's so many TV shows now.
Services. Yeah. And so many streaming services to watch them on. So I think you'll have a great career. I think you will. Because of all that too. Yeah. Thank you.
No, but you seem passionate. You seem like a hard worker, and you seem to be doing it for the right reasons, which is always like the best thing, because a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are doing it for the following, and a lot of people are doing it for the fame of it. And I always respect people that are doing it for the right reason. And
definitely, yeah.
So do you prefer stage or movies, and why?
See, I of course, like I feel like everybody starts on stage because like that's the most accessible thing and stuff. And that's kind of where you learn how to act. But I'm going to say a controversial opinion. I think that like acting for the camera is a little bit more true to like the art of acting than acting on stages. I feel like stage is a little bit more performative because you have to be bigger because like, you know, the whole thing, like the person in the back of the room has to know what you're feeling. So you have to be big. But when you're acting for the camera, you can be small and you can be a person, if that makes any sense. Like you're not performing for anybody. The camera's like right here in your face. So you don't have to, you know, if you're mad, you don't have to be like that. It's, you know, so the person in the back of the room can see that you're mad. You can be normal mad, you know, and you can actually feel the emotion, really process like I'm mad right now, but I don't want them to see it, you know. I don't know. So I think I kind of fell in love. The more I do film, the more I fall in love with the fact that like it's a little bit more pure acting than stages. But of course, like we talked about, like there's theater just, you know, has a place in my heart, and it's always going to have a place in my heart.
Yeah, and I also had this conversation with someone else on this podcast who's also an actor, and she was saying the difference is for me is that in theater there's an instant reaction from the audience, and you don't get that in film, and that's really different. True. And you have to wait because a movie might turn out bad, and you don't know until like 6 months, a year, 2 years later, and that's frightening for your career and for you.
Yeah, that's another thing. A movie can be completely terrible and have nothing to do with you, which is scary because you kind of like I guess you kind of have to look at acting in films as just like your performance is your performance here and now, and then like kind of have to dissociate from it. Like after that, it's in the editor's hands, like it's in, you know, the director's hands, everybody else, like it has nothing to do with you. But if it does turn out wonderful, something that you don't have in theater is you have a video proof that it, you know, that it turned out great. And you don't really, you know, you don't get to film a theater unless you have special permission, but usually you don't have a film of your performances. So or you just find out that the audience thinks it sucks in theater, and you just try to make it better every night, or you just scrap up the play and move on because nobody's gonna see it. It's not a film, or definitely. Yeah, there is that like instant reaction from the audience that is kind of missing, because like especially when you're on set too, it's you and then like whatever other actors are in that scene, but everybody else, they aren't actors, so it's kind of like you're on your own a little bit when you're doing your performance. It's not as like, you definitely don't feel as connected to a group of people who all love doing what you love to do. Because, you know, the camera guy's worried about if he's focused, you know, the boom guy's worried about like if the sound is good. So you don't have that connection, I think. And so you just kind of have to hope. Like, I hope that was a good performance. Like, I don't know who's really watching, you know. Sometimes the directors are really good about like knowing what to look for with actors. But even then, like they're worried about it holistically. They're not necessarily specifically, you know, worried about your performance in whatever scene. So,
I wanted to ask.
It's definitely different.
I wanted to ask before I forget. I saw you singing in your TikTok videos. So you said you were singing when you were young too, but does your acting program do that also? Is it musical? Is it how have you been singing a lot since childhood?
So before COVID, like I was in a musical actually at SCAD. And I mean, I like to sing. I don't know. I just feel like I don't take it as seriously as I do acting, even though, you know, I don't know. Yeah,
you don't enjoy it as much, or?
I do enjoy it, but it's something like you just don't have as much control over singing as you do acting, I feel, in a way that like you can prepare for a solo. But if the night before your voice is like, peace out, like there is nothing you can do about it. But when it comes to acting, if you put in the work and you prepare, like more than likely it's going to, you know, turn out the way that you want it to be, or at least close. But with singing, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I just don't take it as seriously. But I am in the performance ensemble at my school. So like we do sing and like, you know, do different songs from musicals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
singing. That's where I started my performing. But
Yeah.
like I said,
You're always going to be grateful for it, I'm sure.
yeah, definitely. It was
Yeah.
definitely my introduction into just like performing in general.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How does your creative brain works in terms of all these things, acting and singing? Do they work the same way, or do you know how your brain works creatively? No,
I don't
that's
know.
a big question.
That is such a big question. I have no idea. Like
Is it the same process?
for acting and singing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Do you
so.
feel like you're acting while singing, or?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Definitely when when I have to sing like things that come from musicals, or, you know, of course there's like, you're playing a character, so you sing as that character, and, you know, each line is like, you know, the character's telling a story usually when you're singing from musicals. But when it's like songs from, you know, popular culture and stuff, I still think it's a story, but it's a little bit different because you're, you know, a little bit more focused on your technique and like make sure you don't sound bad, and like making sure the sound is coming from a good place in your body, so you're not like straining your voice and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think it's different, because with acting, it's like this whole thing where you do all your homework and then you like leave it at home. And you go in, like after you do your homework, you don't need to be focused on it once you're actually acting. But I feel like singing is a little bit, you do your homework and you still need to be focused on it as you're performing to make sure. Yeah. So yeah, they're just different. I don't know. They're just different.
Yeah. I've never, that's really interesting, because I've had a couple of singers on this, and a couple of singers that were actors also, but yeah, that's very true. You must be like singing, you must be focused on the technique and sounding good, and that must be like, I would find it really annoying for me compared to
yeah. And then with acting too, like you get to just like do whatever. Like if I'm supposed to be mad in a scene and I'm yelling, like if my voice cracks, that's good. Like it's genuine emotion and stuff. But with singing, if your character is upset, and this is like a very like hard thing for them to say as they're singing, yes, you need to put emotion in it, but not so much emotion that your voice cracks, because then like your voice cracks, like you're supposed to be sounding good. So yeah,
do you feel it's a little bit compared to what it's like to when you go from theater to camera acting, in terms of you have to lower everything? Do you feel like it's kind of the same way that you have to remind yourself of that technique?
Yeah. Even to the point where like,
just to explain to people, you have to do a lot less when you're on camera than when you're on the theater. And you said earlier that you don't have to make a big face to seem angry or whatever. So I'm just wondering if it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I definitely think so. But I mean, I feel like naturally you do dial back, just because like when you're singing, if anything, sometimes you might forget to act a little bit, because you're like, let me make sure, I got a big note coming up. Like I'm focused on that. So sometimes you might forget to act. So yeah, if anything, like sometimes my voice coach used to tell me, like, he was like, okay, like remember that you're telling a story. And he's like, you're an actor, so like tell a story. And I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to like make sure I sound good. But yeah.
So before we go to our game, how do you deal with mental health and anxiety because creative people are sometimes it's hard, and it's a painful thing to be a creative. As much as it is joyful, it's painful.
Yeah. I don't know, because like especially when you're just like going on auditions, it's like a
Yeah,
sea of no's
keep
and
getting
like
no's.
maybe
Exactly.
yeah, and it just feels like rejection over and over again. And you have to remind yourself that it's not necessarily rejection, it's just kind of like a part of it. And I have to keep reminding myself that like all it takes is one yes.
Mm,
And so that helps as well. But it also helps because like these people don't know you. Like you're going into an audition and you feel like, oh, if I didn't book it, then they have like some type of personal vendetta against you. You have to realize that it's not personal, and you have to
mm,
kind of separate yourself from it. And that's why I also think it's important. I think you mentioned before, just like kind of knowing yourself and just like, having friends outside of it and, doing things outside
yeah,
of it, just kind of put yourself back in the real world, I guess. Cause like
yeah.
the creative world, I feel like is something on its own, and you can get like engulfed in it, and you can definitely get depressed. And like, if you feel like you're not reaching the successes that you want to, so just kind of taking your mind off of it, I think, and having other things outside of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like for me, I'm like as much as I love my work and I love writing, but like sometimes I get creative blocks, and I feel like so especially you were saying the no's and everything. And I got no's for my writing and for acting, and sometimes you just don't. It gets to you, and you don't feel good. And you watch people on TV, and that's even worse because you see them, and you're
yeah,
like, oh, that's exactly what I want to do. Look how good they are, and you're like
yeah,
murdering yourself from it. So I think what you're saying and taking a step back and just doing other things and having a life and working on yourself, and yes, sometimes just escaping that world, even though that world is sometimes is most times the what you use for an escape, but
right,
escaping that world sometimes is really important because
yeah,
you recenter yourself and you re-energize, and you experience life also, which will help your creativity. But just not thinking about it, I think is a great way you're saying. Yeah.
definitely. I even think it's even weird because like I came here to study acting, but sometimes I'm relieved when I have to take like an English class, or I have to take like a history class, because it's
Mm.
just like
Yeah.
a break. Like it's a break from,
Yeah.
it's a break from it, which is weird because it's like you said, like this is your escape and this is something that you love, but it's almost like you need an escape from your escape sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's like refreshing to do things outside of it and interact with people who aren't necessarily consider themselves like creatives or in the
Yeah.
same sense that you are. So it's, yeah, I think it's refreshing to just separate yourself.
And now people are going to say that, oh, you just said earlier that you don't want to work for a day in your life for a living. And
Yeah.
but no, that's, well, like everything,
I
it gets
mean,
tiring, it gets frustrating. And yeah.
right. It's just a part of it. But that's the thing. Like, would you rather be frustrated about something you love, or would you rather be frustrated about something that
Mm,
you don't love? Like,
exactly.
you know?
That's really good.
So,
That's
yeah.
really, really good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So feel good game. So what's your feel good movie that you watch to feel good?
My feel good movie. At one point it was like Suicide Squad, even though everybody was like, ew, that movie's terrible. Like, I just thought it was a fun movie to watch. So I think that's definitely a feel good movie for
I
me
didn't
in a weird
finish it,
way.
but the first half that I saw was great. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
say that.
I thought, yeah, it's just like really fun. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't take itself too seriously. I thought it was really fun. Also like Clueless is a cool like feel good movie. I think my friend was obsessed with it, and I was like, ugh, I guess I'll finally watch it. And I was like, oh, this like I get it. Like it's just fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I need to see Clueless. I started it, and I found the girl so annoying that I was like,
Really?
but apparently that's the thing, right? That's the fun.
Yeah, that's
thing
her.
about
Like
it.
that's her thing. Yeah, she's clueless. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. What's
So,
your feel good TV show?
um, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like with TV, I could like things that make me feel good are not necessarily happy, but like How to Get Away with
That's
Murder,
okay.
I love
Yeah.
it. You know, some pretty like dark stuff like How to Get Away with Murder and Euphoria. I just love it just because like I feel so inspired. Like, such
Yeah.
good storytelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, those movies or those shows just make me feel happy to be an actor, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah. Great storytelling is always welcome. And it keeps getting
yes.
better, which it still blows my mind. I'm like, yeah, it keeps getting better. Especially like I'm discovering that what I liked 5 years ago is nowhere compared to what I'm watching now and what I enjoy. So it's always,
Yeah.
I think it's always going to keep evolving, and that's the great thing
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it has something to do with just like there are more stories being told. So just like they're just voices from just different people and different walks of life and stuff. And
Yeah.
that's what makes good storytelling, I think. Because like people get tired of the same type of people, same type of stories over and over again, So yeah.
What's your feel good musical?
Musical. Oh, Hamilton, hands down. Me and my mom watched it so many times when it came out on Disney Plus. We literally would watch it every night.
Yeah. And then you made a TikTok about it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I could not. I love Hamilton.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm obsessed. Yeah,
it's amazing. I love it. What's your feel good song?
Song. I don't. Oh, you know what? Well, I don't really know, but I like Beyonce. I like Beyonce. So I remember when Lemonade came out, like I loved just like watching the visuals and everything for that. But I do like that Ariana Grande song. What is it?
So send it to me.
Oh, Just Like Magic. Just Like Magic.
Okay.
That's yeah. Just Like Magic. I feel like that's just a good, because she's talking about she manifests things like good karma, good energy. Right. So I think that's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're all about energy, and I'm sending a lot of positive vibes your way. I think you're going to be great. You're going to have a great career, and I feel like like I said, you're doing it for the right reason, and I really, really admire that. And I truly wish you the best in everything you do. And yeah, thank you for coming on this podcast. I really appreciate it. And yeah, is there anything you did a couple projects? Do you want to plug them? Is there when did they come out?
I have no idea. Like I said,
you have no idea.
I have no idea. I told you once I do a project, I dissociate from it, and once they tell me it's done, I'm like, oh, it's done. But so I don't really necessarily have anything to plug there. But I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored that you thought I was a good guest to have. That's
you
crazy.
Definitely were. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the conversations, and I love diving deep into these type of stuff in terms of creativity. Now I can't talk, but thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you.
And thank you. I keep saying thank you, but thank you for coming on the Very Creative Podcast, and we'll speak soon. Okay.
Of course.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Very Creative Podcast with Gabriel Veiga. To find out more, go to gabrielveiga.com/podcast or find us on social media at The Very Creative Podcast. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube. Just search for The Very Creative Podcast and subscribe.